Hello and welcome back to The Vacant Light. Today I'm reviewing Upheaval of Satanic Might by Witchery. I was asked for my opinion on this record by Misanthropyeternal, so I'm offering this up as a video response to his review as well. So do go check out his review to get a differing and maybe a potentially different spin on the album here in the band. Now, what I'm going to say first is that I was not familiar with Witchery prior to listening to this record. They're a black metal band from the United States, and they play a more aggressive and straightforward form of black metal than most of the stuff that I primarily listen to, which tends to be of the European variety, more melodic. So this is definitely a new experience for me listening to this record, and I have listened to it quite a few times in preparation for this review, so I'd like to give my opinion on it now. The first thing you're going to notice about this record when you put it on is that it's straightforward, it's to the point, it's very aggressive, and it's fairly concise in what it does. So that's one thing that I noticed, initially, is that it's very straightforward. The other thing I noticed as well is that this record is very groove oriented. Like, you'll hear a lot of short grooves that basically capture the essence of a particular track, and those are repeated throughout the track to add that level of repeated aggression, like being smashed over the head with a hammer kind of thing. Now, the guitar work on here is more so in the low end than the high end. Like, you're not going to hear that, like, 90s style of European black metal where there's a lot of, like, tremolo picking and a lot of the high, ear-piercing, distorted stuff. It's more groove-oriented to some extent. And I did find that the guitar playing likes to switch between just, like, straight-up chords and then more, like, low-end groove-oriented riffs, which I liked in terms of adding a little bit of variety to the record. The bass playing is actually very prominent on here, and like the very, very low end stuff, like the bass playing and the drumming, actually are quite important on this record, maybe even more so than the guitar playing and vocals. The bass playing does switch between, mirroring the guitars and mirroring the drums, and if you listen hard enough, it is pretty much audible at any point. So I did like that. I like the audibility of the bass playing. And I thought it was actually pretty well done, and it had a nice sound to it without sounding too metallic or too unusual or anything like that. Like, it's pretty, like, fairly warm sounding, but still has a good aggression to it. And the drumming is really what drives this record for me. I felt that the use of really aggressive bass drum playing and the cymbal was really the driving force to the record, and I felt that the other instruments really fell into place from what the drumming set out to do and the pace that it set for the album. And that even includes the vocals. The vocals really, for me, fell within the sort of the rhythmic patterns of the drumming. The vocals have a lot of low and guttural effect to them. There's a little bit of a tinge of a higher, more piercing element to the music. We're not talking like really high, shrieky black metal vocals here. It's fairly guttural stuff, but there's still a little bit of a tinge, like, that's different from, say, a traditional death metal band that you'll hear in the vocal style. So I did like that sort of tinge to it. Now, my biggest gripe with this record, number one, is that it's very repetitive, and I normally don't mind that as long as the band provides a good sense of atmosphere. But for me, the atmosphere in this record was really like a side effect of the rage-induced vocals, instrumentation and everything. I didn't feel like the band took any time to really generate some sort of blatant atmosphere on the actual songs, which is something that I typically enjoy for black metal. So already there was one key element to my enjoyability of this kind of style of music that I felt was kind of missing on this record, which is a bit unfortunate. Now, there are a couple of tracks, such as track number 4, Baphomet, Throne, Exaltation, and the title track, Upheaval of Satanic Might, where there was a little bit of an intro or a little bit of a build-up to that sort of effect where you hear a nice little bit of atmosphere going into the raw aggression of the songs. But I really felt that it wasn't enough. Also, there were a few moments on here that I really enjoyed where a lot of the low-end stuff, like the guitars would still keep playing, but the bass playing and the drumming would go away momentarily to really allow you to savor and enjoy that guitar tone, which I really liked actually on this record. The guitar tone was excellent. And I like that sort of dynamicism to those certain parts, but those were pretty few and far between. I really thought there could have been a little bit more of that, a little bit more of featuring such and such an instrument over another one. And I thought they could have allowed that to really add a little bit more diversity to the tracks. Now, what I'm going to say is that when you really enjoy this record, I find that when I can get really into the groove of a particular song, that's when it clicks with me and I enjoy the album. But the problem is that it really demands that you're in a particular mood to listen to it. I find that this is the kind of album that I want to put on when I'm really angry and I'm really pissed off about something. This is the kind of thing I'd want to listen to, just get that aggression out of you. But when I want to sit down and just enjoy an album, this is probably not the kind of thing I'll typically put on. The other thing I'd like to mention on here is there's actually a 10th hidden track called it's called Ritual by a band called Blasphemy. And that was the band that originally wrote the track, and this is actually a cover of that song. And I did like that. There was a bit more of a little bit more of a melody to it, a little bit more dynamicism to the track. And that was actually my favorite song on this album was the cover, which is a bit unusual. So overall and in conclusion, I'd like to say that I do enjoy Black Witchery, to some extent. I liked when they got into those groove-oriented riffs, and I could really get myself right into the spirit of the music and just really get your fist pumping with the sort of flow or the rhythm of one particular riff. But I really found that there was a lot of repetition, and really those riffs typically last only about 3 or 4 seconds, so every moment you're hearing the same thing repeated, and you really need to get into the spirit of it and really into the details and the energy of this record to fully enjoy it. So this is definitely not one of my favorite black metal records, and maybe I could have used something different to more ease me into this kind of style of black metal, but I still think it was an interesting experience listening to this, and we'll see how it holds up with me over time. So thanks a lot for watching this video, and have a good one.